our guest speaker. His name is Jonathan Garter. He is going to be talking to you about his road in supporting decision making and how important it is for students and families.
Hello? Well, hello. Thank you for having me today. I'm going to talk about supported decision making, or SDM, which is an alternative to guardianship. When a person with a disability turns 18, people often ask, who will make the decision for them? Supported decision making asks a different question. How can we support them to make their own decisions? But that difference is what this legislation in Massachusetts is about. And it's also what changed my life. First, let me explain what guardianship is. Guardianship is when a court decides that an adult, someone over 18, cannot make some or all of their own decisions. The court then appoints another person called a guardian to make these decisions for them. For me, that option never felt right. Throughout this presentation, I'm going to introduce you to some of the people who support me. Meet Morgan, who you can see on screen right there with me, who supports me with work and advocacy advice. So, what is supported decision making? Supported decision making, or SDM, is an alternative to guardianship. It does not replace guardianship. It simply offers another option that allows people with disabilities and older adults to keep control over their own decisions with support from trusted people. Right now, 23 states and Washington, D.C. have laws that recognize supported decision-making agreements. Massachusetts recently held a hearing on Senate Bill 155 and House Bill 261, which would create similar protections here. Even without a specific state law yet, people can still use supported decision-making. The Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA, protects the rights of people with disabilities to get help making decisions and to have their choices respected. But creating an SDM law here in Massachusetts would give supported decision-making clear recognition and help ensure that doctors, banks, and other institutions respect decisions made throughout it. My supporters help me understand information, talk through opportunities, and weighs the pros and cons. Here's the key differences. With guardianship, someone else decides. With supported decision-making, I decide. For me, supported decision-making is about dignity, freedom, and support, not control. Meet my support person, Anna, who supports me with work and advocacy advice. I first learned about supported decision-making when I was 16 years old. My mom and dad attended some workshops about supported decision-making and brought the idea to me as an alternative to guardianship. This mattered a lot to me because I wanted to stay in charge of my own life. Supported decision-making allows me to choose people I trust to help me think through decisions while I remain the decision-maker. It just made sense to me. I wanted people to guide me, not control me. Sandy, who helped introduce my mom and me to supported decision-making, and now Sandy, her son Craig, and my mom and I help educate others about supported decision-making. I want to explain why having no control over my life means so much to me. School was traumatic for me. In second grade, my IEP wasn't followed. I was bullied and no one listened when I needed help. I hurt myself trying to show I was overwhelmed, and one day I tried to jump out of a classroom window. No child should ever feel that way. Later, when I became overwhelmed, I was placed in a timeout room and restrained by a teacher. My body felt like it was burning with hot lava. I was terrified and alone. My mom eventually discovered what was happening and pulled me out of that school. Homeschooling was the first time I finally felt safe. Today, I live with PTSD, and trusting people can still be difficult. homeschool, my voice mattered, and I became the guide of my own education. That's why supported decision-making makes sense for me. I know what it feels like to have no control, and I never want to go back to that feeling. Meet my support person, Nicole, who supports me with friendship advice, and meet my niece, Kingsley. You kid. So who are my supporters? I choose people who know me well, respect me, and believe in my ability to guide my own life. The first supporters I chose were my mom, dad, and brother. As my life grew and changed, I added other supporters who helped me in different areas of my life, like healthcare, work, friendship, finance, mental health. Some supporters changed over time, and that's okay, because life changes. What matters most is trust and mutual respect. Meet my support person, Adam, who supports me with advocacy and is my wingman and is here today. Right there. You find him at the aux table if you are interested. So, what makes a good supporter? A good supporter listens without judgment. They don't try to take over or push their own ideas on you. They help you understand your options, ask thoughtful questions, and stand beside you while you make decisions. They see you as a person with potential, not someone who needs to be fixed. Most importantly, they help you feel safe and respect you when you're trying to figure out something. Meet Mr. Stickney, who supports me with finances and life advice. My supporters help me in many different areas. Sometimes I need help understanding complex information like medical details, work decisions, or financial choices. Other times I may need emotional support or advice about friendship. My supporters help me think through the pros and cons and make sure my voice is heard. But the final decision is always mine. Meet Mrs. Clifford, who helps me with my mental health. When I was 18, my life changed again. I was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, a rare and aggressive bone cancer. Chemotherapy was one of the hardest journeys of my life. I lost my hair, my strength, and sometimes my hope. At one point, I reached my breaking point, and I told my mom I didn't care what happened to me. I didn't care if the tumor was hurting me. I just wanted the suffering to stop, even if it meant my own demise. That's when support decision-making truly saved my life. Because my mom came back, not as just as my mom, but as my supporter. She said to me, if you can put your faith in me as your supporter, I will help you figure this out. I gave her permission to talk to my medical team, and together we developed a new plan that supported both my physical and mental health. And after talking through everything with my supporter, I agreed to a treatment plan that I chose. And that decision saved my life, physically and mentally. Support decision-making gave me the power to choose when and how I would continue treatment. I wasn't just a patient. I was a person who had a choice in how his treatments would be done, and that made all the difference. Now meet my incredible supporter, my mom, who supports me in every part of my life, who is right there. You can yell at me later. Support decision-making also changed my relationships. Instead of people stepping in to fix things for me, they walk beside me and support me while I figure things out. For example, my mom always used to be in fix-it mode. Now she supports me even when I make a decision that doesn't turn out the way I expected. She doesn't take over, she helps me learn from it. Because as human beings, we often learn the most from our own mistakes. Meet Laura, who supports me with work and advocacy. Some people like to call me the human GPS because I'm good with directions. That's how I think of supported decision-making. It's like a GPS. It gives me guidance so I know the best way to reach my destination, but I stay in control of the route. Sometimes I need help reading the map or figuring out which turn to take. Sometimes I need to stop and think before moving forward. My supporters are there to guide me, not to take the wheel. With support decision making, I choose my path, make my own decisions, and feel confident, respected, and in control of my life. Meet Brendan, who supports me with friendship advice and is right there. What table are you at again?
Attleboro Enterprises.
Go to there.
Good plug.
You're welcome. When I make a decision, my supporters started by listening. They may ask if it's okay to share their thoughts or help me think about possible outcomes. Sometimes I'm making pros and cons lists, but in the end, the decision is always mine. The job is not to say yes or no, it's to help me think it through. With this support, I've learned to trust myself. I also know it's okay to make mistakes. My supporters give me the space to learn, reflect, and try again. That's what helps me grow and make decisions with confidence. Meet my dad, who supports me in, well, every aspect of my life. Here's what I want families and professionals to know. Guardianship is not the only option. When I was 16, my school district pushed guardianship, but my parents knew I needed control over my own life. Support decision making doesn't mean leaving someone alone. Everyone deserves the right to be heard, respected, and grow, even through challenges like cancer. Meet my support person, my brother Eric, who supports me with friendship and girl advice. I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. Support decision making gives me control and choice in my life. It brought me safety after school trauma. It brought me dignity during cancer. And it helped me grow into the person I am today. Because of support decision making, I'm not just surviving, I'm truly living. Support decision making gave me empowerment, respect, growth, and hope. And I believe everyone deserves that same opportunity. Meet my grandparents who support me with my family and faith. And thank you. Well, I guess any questions? I'm willing to take anything. Yes, over there.